Welcome back to Sports Overtime. Our guest is NFL quarterback and now author, Kirk Cousins. Thanks for joining us here, Kirk. The new book, Game Changer, and I know you ask in the book, why am I writing a book, when you were approached? Why did you write this book?
Well, it was presented to me as an opportunity to have a real positive impact on young people, and I think that as an athlete, as a professional athlete, we are put on a platform, and we have a chance to be a voice for whatever we want. And if we mess up, it's going to be news. But if we do something positive, it's going to be news too. And so I want to take advantage of the opportunity I have as a professional athlete to hopefully make a positive difference in as many people's lives as I can, which is why I want to write a book.
You've been a game changer in your career. The title, though, you made sure people knew it wasn't about you.
Yeah, definitely not about me. Game changer, although it is a sports term and it could be confused, it has something to do with my play on the football field. What game changer means is really the principles in my life that have had a game-changing influence on my life and have really gotten me to where I am. Not just the principles, the people, and most importantly, my faith and my relationship with Jesus. So it's that whole, the truth of the Bible, the relationships with these people that have been game changers in my life.
One player you talk about early in the book is a teammate, Justin Kershaw. How much of an impact did he have in you, and what did you learn from him in your becoming a good leader?
Well, Justin Kershaw was a real blessing to me because I felt like he was the visible example that I needed to see what I should act like as I started to become an upperclassman, as I started to have more influence on teammates and become a main contributor on the team. So to have a Justin my freshman year when I was more anonymous and more behind the scenes gave me a visible example of what I should look like when I'm someday in Justin's shoes. And while Justin was never an All-American or anything like that, he had a very big impact on me, which ended up having a very big impact on the entire football program. So,
how's that? What did he do?
Well, I believe he was a servant leader, and he cared about me. And being a junior and a senior, most guys don't reach out to freshmen, but he took the time to reach out to me. He gave me rides to church. He made sure that I was doing well in school. He made sure I was doing well on the practice field. And if I wasn't doing well, he made sure I got the help I needed. And so he took the time and showed care and concern for a guy like me when really he didn't have to.
Mm-hmm. And there are too many headlines in the NFL and in college, and we're looking at Aaron Hernandez now with the Patriots. What is it, and you dealt with it a little bit at Michigan State when some teammates kind of went wayward. What do you do as a leader to try and rein them back in and let them know that somebody's not giving up on them?
Well, I think you have to establish a culture that says what we're going to be about, and we wanted to create an environment in the locker room at Michigan State where it was cool to live by the rules, and it was cool to honor your coaches. It was cool to be respectful of the girls you dated, and rather than be someone who was going to break the law and toe the line. And I felt like when I first arrived, maybe the culture was a little bit more towards toeing the line. And I think the goal of all the leaders in the locker room, starting with Justin Kershaw, was to create an environment where guys really walked in step with what the coaches wanted. And I feel like that culture change happened, and it led to success both on and off the field.
How do you change that culture?
Well, I think it takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. You have to build relationships with guys. You have to show as a leader that you care about them and that you're investing in them, not just using them. And I think too many times in our world, worldly leadership is using people to get to where you want to go. So from a quarterback's perspective, worldly leadership is using players to win games. And as long as I win games, that's justified me using you. I think it's more important as a quarterback in my mission is winning games is only the means to the end to build people. And so I want to win football games as a way of building people. And so I really want to invest in people. And I think when my teammates started to see that some of our leaders were invested and weren't using them, they were willing to give their all for the program.
You talk about your life verse in this book, Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit, and he will make your path straight. How do you live by that verse? I mean, and how many verses we've done some of these things before with a Fellowship of Christian Athletes, and I was just amazed by how many verses you were able to just pull out of your head.
Yeah, I believe that when the word is in your heart, it starts influencing your life, and it starts to show in the way you can carry yourself. So for me, my life verse is Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. That really was the ongoing theme throughout this book, that when you trust in the Lord, when you submit to him, and you don't lean on your own understanding, which is tough to do because many times it didn't make sense. What God was throwing in my path didn't make sense. And I thought, what are you doing, God? Are you really out there? Are you really trying to walk with me? But I look back now and I can see how every step of the way he had a plan, and he was guiding me and he was directing my steps. And all he asked me to do was trust him and walk with him. And so I want to encourage as many young people to do that exact thing.
All right. Well, when you got drafted by the Redskins, after they had taken RG3, I would imagine there had to be some seed of doubt, or what are you doing here?
Once again, when I was drafted by the Redskins, I said, God, really? Are you in this? I mean, how could this be where you want me to be? I mean, of all the teams in the NFL, this probably was the least most likely team to draft me. I just didn't think it was going to happen. And so going there, I really had my doubts. But again, after being there a year, I can see how God has a plan there, from the coaching staff to the city to the teammates I have. I think I'm in a great spot right now for the start of my career. And I do believe he has a plan, so I'm continuing to trust him. I don't know how that plan's going to unfold, but I am going to trust him, and I want to, through my experiences, show to high schoolers, middle schoolers, college kids that he is worthy to be trusted.
What was that point with the Redskins where you started to think, oh, okay, I see what you're doing here?
Well, I feel like when I got there and got around, whether it was Robert, Rex Grossman, the other quarterbacks, whether it was my coaches, Matt LaFleur, Kyle Shanahan, Mike Shanahan, I could see the offense that was in place. I got plugged into a great church. Really enjoyed being in D.C. and I looked forward to going back there when I had to go back. So all those things really connected to make it a great experience. And I just feel like for now, for the time being, it's a great place to be, a great place to start my career. Obviously, down the road, I would like to be a starter somewhere, but for right now, it's a good place.
Robert, you were just at his wedding this last weekend, and he had the injury at the end of last year. Have you changed your approach then this offseason compared to last offseason when you first were drafted? Do you go into this season thinking, I'm going to be the starting quarterback and I have to prepare that way?
Well, I believe the approach of every backup quarterback has to be, you have to convince yourself I'm the starter. And even though it's probably much more likely to happen this year if Robert's not back from his knee injury, I think last year that had to be my mentality as well, because it's tough to go into a dark film room late in the day and watch film, and when you start to think that maybe you're not going to play, now you really aren't motivated to do that. And so I have to convince myself that there's a high chance I'm going to play, even if there isn't, just so I have the motivation I need to get the work done so that when game day comes, I'm ready to go and I have no doubts on my preparation.